become a little bit more familiar with the statements of the Prophet ﷺ, and also to memorize the ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ. I had mentioned yesterday that there is reward, and it is something that is matloob, it is desired to memorize the ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ. This tradition of memorizing hadith and memorizing the statements of our beloved Prophet ﷺ began from the beginning, and it has continued till now, right? Where you have people now, it's not as much as before. Before it was a must, because in the early generations of Islam, there was no other way to protect the ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ. But this tradition lasts till today, where certain people, they make it a point to memorize a certain number of ahadith or memorize certain books of hadith, etc. So we, as people living here in America who don't, most of us might not be fully familiar with the language of the Arabic language, but we should make an attempt to inshallah memorize it. One of the ideas that we had in this halaqah, when we were formulating and structuring the halaqah, was that we would also listen to the ahadith from the audience. So inshallah, if there is anyone, I know last week we never gave the papers, but the handouts we're giving this week. So these are the ahadith. The first two hadith we discussed last week. From the third one, inshallah, we'll be discussing this week. So we encourage the brothers and sisters to take it home, take the sheet home, inshallah, try to memorize the ahadith, and then inshallah in the next session, I would like to listen to a few brothers, right, that have memorized the hadith. This will be a means of encouragement for everyone, inshallah. You see on the side of the paper, there's empty space. It is not done because we like wasting paper. There was an intent, and that intent was that the brothers and sisters could write notes. If they would like to write notes, they can write notes on the side. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The first hadith, so we're doing the third hadith on the first page. The hadith for today, or actually before I begin, so what I've done and what we've done is that in this halaqah, we will be, let's just get situated a little bit better. There we go. We'll be discussing short ahadith, right? But the ahadith that I was collecting, it was on a whole bunch of different topics, right? And the thing is that each one of these hadith are filled with wisdom and filled with knowledge and meanings that we can deduce and lessons that we can take and implement in our life, right? But what I try to do is I try to form where we collect ahadith on one topic, and every session I try to collect similar ahadith on one topic. So the topic for today is the qualities of a perfect believer. The qualities of a perfection in iman. That's what it is. How to become a perfect believer. And the reason why I'm using this word perfect is because al-mu'min, a believer, right? Who is a believer? Generally, when we say a believer is a believer, a person who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the oneness of Allah, believes in the risalat, in the prophethood of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then also, I should put this down, I think, right? That's good? Okay. And then thirdly is they believe in the life hereafter. By a person believing in these, the foundations of Islam or Iman, they are classified as a believer, right? They're classified as a mu'min or a Muslim. Now, the thing is we see these ahadith, right? Like this first hadith. We'll discuss the third hadith on this page. Al-Muslimu man salim al-Muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadi. A Muslim. Now, if you take out that parentheses true, you just say a Muslim is he whose tongue and hand other believers remain safe, right? This would imply, if you take this in its general context, this would imply that if other people are not safe from your hands and your tongue, then you should not be classified as a believer. And this idea, actually, people of the earlier generations actually held this idea, that by committing certain sins, you actually leave the fold of Islam, right? You actually leave the fold of Islam, but majority of the scholars do not agree with this. And there are many verses of the Quran that indicate that it is that this is not the case. There are many verses of the Quran, many ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that by committing a sin, you still are in the fold of Islam. You are just a sinner, right? So now all of these ahadith that we're going to discuss today, they're going to start off with al-Muslim or al-Mu'min. Every single one, we have to add this parenthesis that a true believer, a true Muslim, right? Because if we don't add this explanation inside it, right, then it'll have different connotations, right? It'll take away the meaning from other verses of the Quran, right? Because it seems as if there's contradiction here, right? Because you say that a believer is one whose other people are safe from, then another hadith will say a believer is someone else, and then another hadith will say a believer is someone else. So now there's a little bit of contradiction between all these ahadith, right? Now the way we corroborate and we do tatbiq, right, is that we're going to take out one meaning that can be applied to all the ahadith, so that we accept every hadith and every hadith has a meaning. And this is a usul that the muhaddithun laid out from the beginning stages of Islam in the earlier generations. Ibn Hajar Asqalani, that I was mentioning last week, in his book Sharh al-Nukhba, he says that if there are ikhtilaf bayn al-riwayatain, right, there's two hadith of the Prophet that contradict one another, then he says the first thing that we should do is we should try to deduce one meaning that can fit all the ahadith, right? So this tatbiq bayn al-riwayatain, this is something that the muhaddithun do, and this is something that we do till today, and this is something that we try to do so that we don't leave a hadith. We don't put a hadith to the side. We take one general meaning, and this is also done in verses of the Quran when it comes to tafsir as well, right? So that's number one, is that perfection in iman. And this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran as well. Many verses of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say that a believer is like this. The qualities of the muttaqun are like this. The qualities of the sabirun are like this. The qualities of a believer, a mu'minun, are like this. Right? So these are all qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us of the Quran that are beloved to Him. And if you look at iman, like I was saying before, is that the lowest stage of iman is just belief, is just believing. Then you are a believer. But then you have something that where your iman, it also increases and decreases, right? Sometimes we say, like how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself He says, إِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا, that your iman increases. But then what does it mean that your iman is in one side you're saying your iman increases, but on the other side we're saying that if a person believes in these 3-4 things, then they're a believer, right? So what are these two verses or these two accepted rules of Islam? How do we connect them? How do we accept everything? How do we make one meaning that where everything will make sense, right? So the scholars, they have said that one, and there's different ways and different interpretations, different methods of explaining this, but the scholars, what they have said is that there's one is just belief, right? Iman is just believing. Now believing is not something that increases and decreases, right? Because I'm going to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I'm going to believe in the prophethood of the Prophet, in the messenger, in the risalat of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm going to believe in the akhirah. That belief in itself will not increase and decrease, because you either believe or you don't believe, right? But what will increase and decrease, the scholars say, is, you could say, is nurul iman, the nur of iman, the light of iman, right? And this light of iman is what affects us. And this is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says your iman is increasing, this nur of iman is increasing. And how do we identify what our level of iman is? One way of identifying this is, do we enjoy worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not, right? Do we get that enjoyment when we stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When I stand in salah, do I get enjoyment of waking up for Fajr salah? Do I get enjoyment sacrificing for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Am I seeking enjoyment? Am I enjoying this? This is a sign that if you are, your iman is high. At times, we won't. It'll be difficult for us. We have to fight ourselves to wake up for Fajr Salah. That's a sign that our iman is a little bit low. We have to make effort on our iman, right? And iman is something that you make effort on. You have to make effort on your iman. Now, what type of effort do we make, right? These ahadith where we see what are qualities of a believer, we try to bring those and implement those in our life. That will increase our iman, right? And then there's different ways that the scholars have explained this, but inshallah we'll suffice with this. The other thing is that these qualities that are mentioned, whether it's in the Quran or whether it's in the ahadith, these are obviously beloved qualities by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying this is what it means to be a perfect believer, right? You'll still be a believer, but to be like a true believer, you have to have these qualities, right? And at the same time, the fact that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam is attaching iman with these qualities or these actions, because he's connecting these actions with our belief, it goes to show how important these actions are. Because it's as if you're saying that by not doing these things, you should not call yourself a Muslim, right? So there's a difference. One is, like, for example, we live in America, right? So one is that I'm a citizen, so I'm an American, but then I'm not acting like an American, right? And at times we'll say this, that this is what it means to be an American, to be a US citizen. This is what America is all about, and you're not doing it. Now, that doesn't mean that that person's not a US citizen. He still is, but he doesn't have the spirit of America within him, right? Maybe now we don't know what it actually means to be an American, but I think back in the day we did, right? We all knew what it meant to be American, right? So this is similar like this, is that this having these qualities is what it means to be a Muslim, right? Which goes to show how important it is that we make an effort, right, to bring these qualities and these actions within our life, and at the same time to ensure that we abstain from anything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us not to, right, not to do. These qualities are also connected with our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, is informing us that these are beloved qualities to Allah, right? Now, a person will only want to do those things that makes another person happy or pleased when he has an attachment with that person, right? And this is where the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes in. Hubbullah. If we do not have the love of Allah in our heart, then for us to bring these qualities in our life will be very difficult, right? It won't be easy. But when we truly love Allah from the bottom of our heart, then we are going to, at all moments in our life, going to try to do those things that are pleasing to Him, right? You know, like when we all got married, and in the beginning stages of marriage, right? It's something that should continue till the end, but this is predominantly found in the beginning stages of marriage, is with the husband goes and makes an effort, that he starts thinking, right? He starts the day and then he thinks that what can I do to make, oh no, this is dangerous right here. Chai right now? No, I can't do that. Jazakumullah khair though. Right? You're going to the grocery store and then you're like, let me just buy a flower, right? Let me buy some flowers. Let me buy some chocolate so I can take it home. Why? Because I just want to see a smile in her face, because I know it makes her happy. Let me go to this restaurant because it makes her happy, right? As you're going about your day, you're in the back of your mind, you're thinking about, what can I do to make my spouse happy, right? How can I do to make my wife happy? What can I do to make my husband happy, right? When a child has intense and true love for his parents, this is something that they desire, right? Is that, what can I do to please my mom, to please my father, right? So this quality of pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? We'll only find it when we attain the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first, right? If we don't, and the love of Allah is something that is matlub, it is something that is desired, which is why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam himself, he said, Allahumma inni saluka hubbak. Oh Allah, I ask you for your love. Wa hubba man yuhibbuk. And I ask you for the love of those who love you, right? And then and grant me the love of the actions that will grant me those actions that will bring me closer to you, right? Yuqarribuni ila hubbik. Give me the ability to do those actions that will earn me your love as well. So from this hadith, from this dua, and many other duas like this, and even in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself, he says, قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهِ, that if you truly love Allah, right? So Allah, so again, loving Allah, this is something that we should try to learn and we should try to bring within us, within our hearts, is fill our hearts with the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How will we love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How will we attain this love? We will attain this love by, number one, there are many ways, right? The one way is by understanding the bounties of Allah, the favors of Allah upon us, right? When you understand when a child understands the favors of his father, then will he not respect his father? Will he not love his father? Right? And a lot of the times when that child is disrespectful to the father, what does the father say? What do other people tell that child? That how ungrateful can you be? Did you not forget what your mom did for you? Have you not forgotten what your dad did for you and now you're acting like this? Right? So similarly, when it comes to our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Remember and always remind ourselves of the blessings of Allah upon us. And when we do this, then naturally the love of Allah will fill our hearts. Another way to love Allah is to understand His greatness. When you understand a person's or a being's or a person's greatness, you understand his status, his rank, then to love them becomes a lot more easier. To become inclined to them becomes a lot more easier, right? So nevertheless, this was kind of an intro, and this kind of sums up a lot of these ahadith, right? Now, I don't have time to explain every hadith here, because again, these hadith are like literally some of two of these hadith. This first one we spoke about an hour and a half in the halaqa, in our previous halaqa, just on this one hadith. Al-Muslimu man salima al-Muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadi. We spoke about it for not an hour and a half, an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, just on that one hadith. We don't have that much time here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to translate the hadith, give 1-2 points, and then we'll move on, inshallah. And every session, like, I'll give an intro to the overall theme that we're trying to discuss today. So like I mentioned before, the overall theme or qualities is perfection in iman, in belief, and what it means to have perfection in your iman. I was just listening to my teacher, our Shaykh al-Hadith. He was giving a talk, and he said that when it comes to our entrance into Jannah, he said every believer will enter into Jannah. There's no doubt about that. Every believer enters into Jannah. Certain believers will go direct to Jannah. Other believers will go via Jahannam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. But even if a believer goes to Jahannam, they will end up in Jannah. So he was explaining that if you want direct entrance into Allah, then you have to inculcate and you have to bring within you all of the qualities that are beloved to Allah. And these are the qualities that are mentioned in the Quran and mentioned in the ahadith as well, right? Okay, so nevertheless, inshallah, the first hadith is Al-Muslimu man salima al-Muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadi. A true Muslim is he from whose tongue and hand other believers remain safe, right? So number one, this hadith is teach, and we'll do the next hadith, and I'll explain both of these together. The second one is wal mu'minu man aminahu an-nasu ala dima'ihim wa amwalihim. A true believer is he. Yeah, it's right there. A true believer is he whom people trust with their lives and possessions, right? So these two ahadith are there. The first hadith, number one, is Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling us that the way we need to conduct ourselves as a believer is I need to make sure that I never cause any type of harm to anyone around me. That's it. No one should be harmed by anything that I say, by anything that I do, whatever it is, right? I should not be harmed. I'm walking out here of the masjid. I just need to go to my car and come back. But I just borrow someone's shoes and then I'll come back, right? Sometimes we do that, right? But what happens is that someone will come. What if they need the shoes? Now at that time, you're causing that person harm, right? So now this is something that we should not do, right? Sometimes we'll eat certain foods, right, that have a very strong smell to it. And then we come in public. This is something that we should abstain from. Coming to the masjid is makruh. But even coming in front of people is something we should abstain from, right? So there's so many examples of this. Whether you're at work, whether you're at home, I should not do anything that causes any sort of taklif, any sort of harm or discomfort to my wife. I should not do anything that causes any discomfort to my neighbors, right? No matter what it is, no one should be harmed because of me. The second thing that we learn from this hadith is whose perspective are we taking? I don't want to cause harm to anyone. I don't want to say anything that is offensive to you. But whose perspective are we taking? Because things that I say, that I believe might not be offensive, you might believe is offensive. So this hadith is teaching us, because Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says a true Muslim is he from whose tongue and hand other believers remain safe. Right? So you're talking about other believers remaining safe from my hand and tongue. Right? So there's a small indication in this, is that we will take the perspective of the person that you're speaking to. It's not my perspective. I might say something to you. I don't think it's offensive. But what I'm saying is offensive to you, then that means it is offensive. Right? And a bigger dalil for this is the hadith of ghiba, where Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that ghiba is to mention anything that your brother says, anything about your Muslim brother that he does not dislike. So whether you think it's okay or not, it's irrespective. We don't care about that. We care about the person that's being addressed, or the person that's being spoken to. What do they feel? How do they understand it? And according to that, the ruling will be placed. Right? So this is something that's very important, because we hear this, I hear this again and again and again, right? Is that, why did you do it? But I don't think there's nothing wrong with this, right? Do you tell me if there's anything wrong with this or not, right? And this teaches us another quality, is that a believer is someone who's watchful of how others feel. They're always cognizant and conscious and aware of how others feel around them, right? So this is something that we should be conscious and we should make an effort towards, right? The second hadith is, a true believer is he whom people trust with their lives and possessions, right? People trust him. And this was one of the salient qualities of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was what? Al-Amin. He was a trustworthy, right? That people, no matter what happened, they understood. Whether he agreed with them or disagreed with them, they understood that this person was trustworthy. This is how we should be. This is how we need to conduct ourselves, right? And what is the proof of whether I'm trustworthy to other people or not, right? Is that if at work, how do people perceive me? Is it that when I say something, everyone believes it right away, or they don't believe it right away, right? Sometimes we can build a rapport for ourselves within our workplace, where everyone will be like, he will never tell a lie. I have never seen him speak ill about anyone else. I have never seen him do anything to harm anyone else. That is how we should try to conduct ourselves. That is how we should try to, that's the standards we need to hold ourselves to. Not for their pleasure, not to make them happy, but understanding that this is a quality that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves, is that we should conduct ourselves in such a manner that you completely trust me. You'll trust me with your wealth. You'll trust me with whatever it is. There is trust, right? That you know that I will never do anything to harm you, right? How sad is it that when it comes to doing business, right? A lot of the times we won't do business with a Muslim person on purpose. I would rather do business with a person from another faith, right? I'm sure I've heard that a lot, and I'm sure all of us have heard that. And how sad is that? That just goes to show how low our standards have become as a whole community and as a whole society, right? This next hadith, this is I love this hadith, is al-mu'minu ma'lafun wa la khayra fi man la ya'laf wa la yu'laf. Right? The meaning of this is that the believer is one who is sociable with others. Ma'laf, right? It's the ismu dharf of alifa ya'lafu. Alifa ya'lafu means to become aware of something, right? To become comfortable, right? So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying that a believer is the place of where whoever is around him, they will feel comfortable with them, right? They are easy to get through to, right? Very easy to talk to. They're not harsh. They're not hard to talk to, right? They're very easygoing. Not easygoing when it comes to our deen. Easygoing when it comes to dealing with other people. When it comes to our deen, we're very strict. The world can come to an end, but I will not miss my salah. If that means all of you become upset with me, I don't care. Because that's between me and my Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when it comes to other matters, we're easygoing. It's fine, right? You look at Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. What did the Sahaba radiallahu anhum say about our beloved Prophet? He said that when, like the Sahaba would say, is that when I talk to him, when I would be in the company of the Prophet, it would seem as if I am his best friend and I'm his only friend. And then another Sahaba would come and say the exact same thing, right? It's like when I talk to him, it's just like I'm his closest companion, right? And everyone felt that way. Why did everyone feel like that? It's because he had a certain personality about himself, right? And this is how a believer should be, is that it should be very easy for someone to come talk to me, right? Not like, those people is that, they have to be in the perfect mood, right, in order for me to go talk to them, right? Sometimes wives, right, they say this, is that we can't go talk to the husband until we don't give them food, right? They're not well rested, and then they won't get enough sleep, and then, okay, we'll go talk to them, right? Otherwise, if they're upset or they're hungry, then sometimes children also, right? Don't talk to Baba when he comes back from work, because we all know he's angry at that time, right? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was never like this. Never was he like this, right? When he came, he would be with children, he would talk to them, he would smile with them. And who had more? I know we always say is that, but I have so much work and it's so difficult and I can't and there's so much stress on my shoulders and this and that. Who had more stress than our beloved Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? He had stress of establishing deen in the entire world. He had stress of not having food to eat. He had financial stress. He had family stress. His own kin wanted to kill him. His own kin made it their point to persecute him, right? He never, the stove, the fire would not burn in his house for how long, right? He didn't know a lot of the times where he would get food from. Right? He didn't know where he would forget about earning money. And then at the same time, Muslims are being persecuted, and he was the leader of those that are being persecuted. Is this not all stress upon stress upon stress? Yet every time he would come home, what does Aisha radiallahu anha say? How would he enter the home? Anyone know? What did she say? Is that when he would enter the home in what condition? He would always smile. He would always enter the home smiling, right? That look at that, is that he understood that, okay, that is work. I leave all that at work, right? For it, not work in our sense, but that was his work, that was his mission, right? We leave all that at home. Now I come home and now I'm with my family, right? Be able to separate things. Now I'm coming to the masjid. I don't need to bring my problems from home to the masjid, or problems from work to home, etc., right? This is a quality that we all should have. And then he says, وَلَا خَيْرَ فِي مَنْ لَا يَأْلَفْ وَلَا يُؤْلَفْ. And then he says, there's no good in a person, there is no good in one who is not sociable with others and others are not sociable with him. Meaning, he does not make an attempt to make others comfortable around him, and others don't feel that way. So again, he didn't just say فِي مَنْ لَا يَأْلَفْ, that who is sociable with others, but he said that others also need to feel comfortable. Put it down. Others, I think this one, right? This one. Okay, there you go. Others also need to feel sociable. Mike is they're not willing today. I think my time is up. That's right. You guys did something like. Okay. Right? Again, so we see that one is I need to be sociable with others, but others need to feel. I don't know what's wrong. I think it's when I face that way. No, you're good. Right? Others also need to feel comfortable around me. Right? They need to feel comfortable. Everyone should be comfortable around me. Anyone should be able to come speak to me without any hesitancy. Right? Without any without feeling any fear or anything like that. Right? So this is this hadith. The next hadith is, and we'll finish off with this, Al-mu'minu ghirrun kareem wal-fajiru khabbun la'im. Wal-fajiru khabbun la'im. I think it's because I'm under the speaker, Hamza. I think it's because I'm under the speaker. Al-mu'minu ghirrun kareem wal-fajiru khabbun la'im. A believer is simple and noble, and a transgressor is deceitful and ignoble. Right? So this is also beautiful hadith. So a true believer is someone who's simple-minded. Simple-minded. Right? Not cunning, right? Very simple. But simple in what? Right? The scholars, they explain simple in matters of this world. And they explain what is simple in matters of this world is that they don't care, right? Something of this world, if someone steals from them, whatever. Someone cheats them, whatever. Like in this sense that it's not that you should be like this, or it doesn't mean that you should let others walk all over you. That's not what this hadith is saying. But in the instance that you lose something, it's just whatever. That guy said something about me, whatever. Why? Because it's a matter of this world. It's not really important to them, right? It's not really important to them because the matters of the akhirah are much more important to them, right? And then he says, Kareem, he's very noble, right? He's noble. Kareem, when it comes to, some scholars have defined Kareem as one who takes little but gives a lot, right? We take little but we give a lot. And again, we hold our self to a very high standard. A believer is one who holds himself to a very high standard. And then he says, وَالْفَاجِرُ خَبٌّ لَئِيمٌ, and a transgressor is one who is deceitful and ignoble. Khabbun is someone who's cunning, always trying to, always has a plan, right, in his mind. He's always scheming, right? Always scheming, trying to take the most, right? Take the most advantage, right, for himself. A believer is one who doesn't try to look for advantage of himself. He looks at how he can benefit other people when it comes to matters of this world, right? When it comes to matters of deen, we're not ghirrun as well, right? We're not ghirrun when it comes to matters of deen. In those matters, we're very intelligent. We're going to be one step ahead. When it comes to our studies, we're going to be one step ahead. We're going to be the one people that are most ahead. But when it comes to insignificant things, what are insignificant things? Things of this world. Wealth is insignificant to us, right? Status is insignificant to us, right? What people say about us doesn't mean anything, right? Whether they invite us to their house, they don't invite us to the daughter's wedding, or they do invite us, none of that matters to us. It doesn't affect us, right? But we say that we don't have drama. Believers should not have drama. How's that definition, that explanation here, right? Drama is out of the picture, right? Because drama is, oh, they said this and I said that, and then they acted like this. When he came, he didn't come say salam to me first, and he walked that way and he walked the other door, and all this, right? It's all drama, right? A believer is not one who deals in drama. Why? Because he has more important things to do, right? I'm sure like our wives sometimes will come with drama to us, and then as men, well, we should be annoyed. Right now, men also love the drama as well, but usually a quality of a man is that they don't like drama, right? And we get annoyed with it. We're like, please just stop it, man, right? But this is how a believer should be as well, right? A believer should be like this. And all this drama, it doesn't matter. Who cares, right? وَالْفَاجِرُ خَبٌّ لَئِيمٌ. La'im is ignoble, meaning the opposite of noble. Inshallah, we'll end off here. Time is already up, exactly half an hour. Inshallah, I'll open it up to if anyone has any questions, and then inshallah we'll continue from here next week. So we did so far 6 ahadith. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We did 6 ahadith. So inshallah, we should make an effort, take these pamphlets home, make an effort to memorize it. Inshallah, I hope that next week I'll ask a few of the brothers and they'll be able to recite the hadith as well with the Arabic. Try to learn it with the Arabic, inshallah. If not, then just the English is good. If you can't do the Arabic, but we should make an attempt to memorize the hadith in the original form. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم لسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Any questions, inshallah? I'll open it up. Yes, brother.
I have like a general question.
Yes.
I just have a general question. Like, what's the minimum criteria for like conveying a hadith to somebody? Like, I know these are written, they're like in front of me, but what would happen is like I would remember the general gist of the hadith, like if it's saying in English, like or the emotion that I take away, or like the mafhum if I heard it in Urdu. So, is it okay to convey like
the meaning of a hadith?
Yeah, the meaning of what I remember.
Okay, the feeling of the hadith, no. Right now, when it comes to the meaning of the hadith, is you have to be careful of the words that you use. Like if you say that the Prophet ﷺ said, then you better use the exact words that he said. Don't bring up your own or my own definition and my own interpretation and my own gist of it. But if you say that the meaning of a hadith is this, then that is fine, right? But just you have to be careful when you're trying to extract the general meaning of a hadith, right? We have to ensure that we understand the hadith fully, and then yes, you take that meaning and you propagate it to others, right? But when you say that, you should say that the meaning of a hadith is like this. Don't say that the Prophet ﷺ said this, because when you say he said this, then you're implying that he said the exact words, right? Yes, brother. You had a
You mentioned that the nur of our iman goes up and down, right? This for sure is very real. So, but you said there are some steps. What are the steps which you recommend? When we feel or even we are not enjoying as much as, let's say, we were enjoying yesterday or the day before yesterday. Things you start feeling, right? So, what are the steps?
So number one is this is a very important point, right? Is that the scholar, actually I read this in one of the books of our previous scholars. Someone wrote to him and he said that I don't feel like performing my salah. He's like 2 months ago I enjoyed performing salah, right? Or whatever time period. I enjoyed doing this, I enjoyed doing that, but now I don't enjoy it, right? What should I do? So his first response, and I'll give you that same response, is that we worship Allah because we have to worship Allah. We don't worship Allah because how it makes us feel. That's number one, right? So the first step is that I'm gonna continue to do it, irrespective of how it makes me feel. Second is that what are things that we can do is you can learn the virtues of that action. If it's salah, what are the virtues of salah, right? What benefit will I get from this salah, right? Another is make dua, right? Another is environment. What environment are you in? Another is what food are you eating? Are you eating halal or are you eating haram? Are you eating doubtful food? That will have an effect. And what's the proof of that? يا أيها الذين آمنوا كلوا من طيبات واعملوا صالحا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, eat from tayyib food, wa'amalu salihah, and do good deeds. So he says, first eat, yani, if you eat from good food, then that will be a driving force of doing good deeds, right? So the food that you eat, the things that you listen to, staying away from the disobedience of Allah. This is the most important thing, right? Is staying away from the disobedience of Allah. Being humble. What qualities do we have in our heart? Am I prideful? Am I arrogant? Do I think I'm better than everyone else? Right? So look at those diseases as well, right? Humble yourself in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's greatness. Understand that when I worship Allah, it is my honor to worship Allah. I'm not doing a favor upon anyone else. There's no woman here, so I think we can. Oh, there might be. Oh yeah, I'll just, right, this is fine. Right? It's my favor, right? It's my benefit to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right, so these are a few things. There's no actual, or like in the verses in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا. When you read the verses of the Quran, right? So what you have to do is you have to do more good deeds. Ensure that you're staying away from the disobedience of Allah, and ensure that you just keep on doing more good deeds, and understand why you're doing those good deeds. Right? When you understand the virtue of those good deeds, that will be like you know how when you're at you're doing a project, right? You're at work. I'm sure there's days at work that we just don't feel like working, right? What pushes us is the thing that pushes us is that we're not going to get paid at the end of the month or at the end of the week, or it pushes us is that I need to get my performance review at the end of the year needs to be this much so that I can get that bonus. That bonus is what pushes us. Right? So similarly, you look at the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that should be that driving force, and that'll push us, and that'll create that enjoyment in our good deeds as well. Recognize Allah, ma'rifat of Allah, right? Recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When I truly recognize who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, right? The grandeur, the greatness of Allah, then you'll see that for me to do anything will be very easy, right? I'll enjoy the little that I do. I'll enjoy staying away from the disobedience of Allah. I'll enjoy sacrificing for the sake of Allah. Why? Because I've understood who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Right? I hope that answers the question.
One suggestion. So, if you go a bit slow and a bit more elaborate on the hadith, that would be, I think that way we can understand a bit more.
Go?
So if you go a bit slow on each hadith.
Oh, you mean go slower in the hadith?
Yeah, and elaborate a bit more. So
then we're
I'm
never
not
gonna.
Sure what's if there is a time limit or if there is.
Well, you see the thing is I wanted to keep it half an hour because everyone can't sit for that long and it's after
The
Isha.
suggestion was more to kind of probably less number of hadiths but more elaborate.
Let's just get a show of hands. Who would if because look, for me it's fine either way. The one of the purposes of this halaqah was that we wanted to get 40 hadith done. So we have 8 sessions to get 8 sessions or 10 sessions.
Yeah.
Eight sessions to get 40 hadith. So we have this that we want to get 5 hadith every session. And I understand what you're saying, that going a bit slower would make it a little bit more enjoyable. So I don't know, what are the brothers' feelings of this? Would you rather you go slow and maybe you do 1 hadith a session or 2 hadith, or would you rather kind of do it in the similar manner of today where you take out a theme and then you go through the hadith a little bit faster? So they say, who would rather go slow? Just sort of show of hands. So I think majority would still prefer that we go a little bit faster. So inshallah, we'll keep it like that. Any other questions, inshallah, before we end off? Inshallah. Jazakumullahu khair. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the ability to practice. Inshallah, next week we'll listen to the hadith, inshallah.
We'll fix the mic situation.
And we'll also fix the
And,
mic
and
situation.
inshallah, if you hold on to this, and like Imam Fuad says in his weekly, can you give us the announcement, please?
If you don't plan on memorizing it, give it back to us, inshallah.
Yes.
No,
If you're not going to memorize it, then give it back.
yeah?
Yes. MashaAllah.
You
Jazakumullah.
can give it to me. I'm not going to judge you. I will, but like, that's insignificant as we heard today.
Allah.